Hey, what's up people? Today I want to talk about the Extrema BD4 Lucky. This is the large version, and yeah, mainly do this video because there is, at this point that I'm doing that, there is no real other video about this knife in English, so just Russian videos about this knife here. And so I thought, you know what, I'd just do a little video about this. And I will first, walk you through the specs of this knife and give you a close-up from all angles, and then then I will talk about some cardboard tests that I did, some stabbing cardboard tests. So there's some paper, and talk about some of the results that I got with this, and also talk about that lock a little bit, because I think this is what it comes down to for most people probably, is if that liner lock is strong enough for their needs in this knife. So let's first talk about this. The blade length of this knife is 12.3 centimeters, which is 4.8 inches. So here's Ontario Red 1 as a size comparison, and here is a Spyderco PM2 straight out of my pocket, and let's zoom you guys in a little bit. And for people that don't know any of these, so here is a classic Victorinox Farmer size, and here is a Victorinox Cadet. Sorry for the thunder noises in the background. There is a storm about to go down, as it seems, and a little bit of summer rain. Not bad. So the it's quite a large blade, and large and narrow, and thin and pointy. We have like a 2.9 millimeter blade stock thickness, so very thin, pointy tip. Tip is nice and centered, so in the center line of the handle. So it has this, overall dagger-like or stiletto type appearance. So obviously this knife is all about stabbing here. You have a very short swedge here in the front that supports that tip, gives it a little bit more pointiness, also makes it a little bit more stronger. And flat ground. There is a version of this knife that has a dagger ground blade and is also double edged, and has, I think, serration on both sides. This one has serrations just on, just on one side, because it's just single edged. And then there is a 4-inch version of this one, so 10 centimeter version, blade length version of this one, that is plain edge. And all of these 3 versions come in black coating, or sort of a desert coyote handle color with a stonewash blade. So you have 6 different versions basically to choose from, and that's quite a lot. There are not of knife makers that use this sort of blade length here. I think the most direct competition to this blade would probably be the Benchmade SOG P folder, not the fixed blade, just the fixed blade of the SOG P here. Not a size comparison for you, but they also make a folder of this one that's larger and has almost the same blade length, a little bit shorter I think. And the price wise, I'm not sure if this has been released on the American market yet. You guys can let me know in the comment if you want. And on the European market, this is about 160 to 170 euros right now. So very comparable to the, like I said, SOG P folder. Price wise, blade length wise, I think overall length wise this is probably a little bit longer. And we have an overall length of 27.6 centimeters, which is 10.8 inches. And a close length of 15.3 centimeters, which is 6 inches. So actually let's just show you this, how this rides in the pocket, and real quick. So here you can see my my shorts. Usually I have pants that have like a straight pocket, and straight pockets work a little bit easier with this knife, because this is, like I said, it's like a very long handle, and you can see in shorts, it's a little bit, you know, it's not too easy to carry in shorts. That's what I want to say. The deep carry pocket clip here works very well though. It's not too great for appendix carry because there is not a lot of handle to grab on. And I'll show you the wave feature really quick. So you can see super fast out of the pocket. So the carry of this knife is, like I said, it depends on the pants you have, and it's not too easy to wear it in like summer shorts, although the handle is very slim. It's like 1.1 centimeters. In width, that's like a PM2 sort of handle width, which is like it's like 1/4 of an inch for you Americans out there. And the weight on this guy is also quite nice. It's like 135 grams, which is like 4.6 ounces, something like that. 4.7 ounces on this guy. So quite lightweight for the size we have here. And although this is a full metal constructed knife, so you have the blade obviously, and then you have aluminum handle scales and one liner. Extrema Ratio usually just uses one liner on their knives, so that's also why most of the blades, or some of the blades, are a little bit off-centered. It's not because they are, you know, badly built or something like that. It's just because they have one liner, and that handle thickness here is thicker than on this side, so the blade pushes a little bit more into this direction, and so you have a little bit of an off-centering going on. If that doesn't, you know, bother you too much. Me personally, I don't care. It's like I said, they come like this. Most of the times they all come like this, and that's just how they are built. You cannot adjust it to, you know, be further in this direction. But it doesn't matter that the blade is not rubbing on anything or something, so it really doesn't matter. So the yeah, like I said, the double finger guards actually, this guard here, this piece right here works, you know, as, like I said, as a wave opener, and it works quite well. It's just a little bit big, so if you have this in your pocket, there is just a lot of room taken up between the pocket and the guard here. That's you know, sort of wasted. So I wish this wave opener would be a little bit smaller, but on the other hand, you know, it wouldn't be as symmetrically looking, which probably some people really dig. And I like it too. It's nice looking, but it's not super functional when it comes to carrying. Also that, like I showed you, the guard can potentially get caught on some things because it's that big. So yeah, you know, sometimes you have to be careful if you draw it, and it really depends on the pants you're wearing. So if that works rather well or not. The other side of the guard obviously is the flipper tab. The flipper tab works very effortless. I wish the detent was a little bit stronger. I cannot shake the blade out of the handle, but if you touch this guard ever so slightly, it flies out there, and this is not the nicest thing. Even if you touch this side of the guard, the blade can come out very easily. So it's probably not the best idea to wear this on a vest or something like that, sort of a tactical vest, something like this, because you can unintentionally deploy this knife even if you don't want it. So I wish the detent was a little bit harder and this knife wouldn't come out as easily, but that's how it is. So yeah, the liner lock, like I said in the beginning, I think for a lot of people it will come down to the liner lock of this knife, whether this is strong enough or not. In my testings it was plenty strong, you know, for the if you stab into harder materials. The liner lock usually shouldn't fail. We'll show this real quick on wood here, and so if you have like a piece of wood, actually I can also show you how this knife stabs. Here we have a folded up jean that's like 6 layers of a jean. It has been used a little bit, so keep that in mind. And so move you guys out a little bit here. So I didn't put a lot of effort into this one, but you can see we can almost made it through there entirely. Now I'm putting my thumb out on the back here, and Now we are through the piece of jean here. You can see the tip here, and so very effortless, even without a lot of force. This blade shop is just set up for stabbing, and yeah, the liner lock. I can potentially fail the liner lock if I do like spine wax. So maybe I can show you this. There you go. So liner locks have the. Let's see if we don't have any damage here. Not too much damage. Liner locks have the possibility to slip in this direction if you sort of come at it at a weird angle, which this one is a weird angle. But if you're using, all that pressure is put on through the tip and goes straight into the handle, usually the line lock won't fail. I'll show you this real quickly, but I will put on gloves because you never know. So if you can see the line lock, how it locks up here. When I got it, it was, the first day it locked up quite early in the beginning, and then sort of moved over quite a bit, which is nice because secure lockup is what you want on a liner lock for that sort of purpose here. In a tactical knife, early lockup is not good because that can potentially slip easier. So, but now I will show you that this line lock does in fact hold up if you just ram it into something very hard, like wood, for example. So if you use a little bit more force and I stab into this, I'm really trying hard here, but I cannot fail this liner. It still locks up securely. So like I showed you earlier, the spine whack is just when you come in at a weird angle. So for some people this may be a turn off because it's not that strong, for example, like other locking systems or like other liner locks that are built a little bit differently, but it still works fine. It's not an issue unless you come at it on a weird angle. Let's show you the tip up close. If you have taken any damage here, tip is very pointy still, no damage to it. Just a little bit of wood left on the coating here, as I can see. Yeah, in general the coating seems to hold up quite well. It's a little bit, the coating overall on this knife gets a little bit scratchy. Also you can see that on a pocket clip. I think the pocket clip is like parkerized and the handle is, the aluminum scales are anti-cordal anodized, if that means anything to you. And so yeah, the stabbing up capabilities of this knife, to get back to this once more, are quite good. You can stab through multiple layers of cardboard with ease, so no problem there, and you will penetrate quite deeply because of that that large blade here. So the serrations that are a little bit short, like 2 centimeters of the blade edges, like are these serrations, and not, you can I leave that up to you if these are still usable or not. It doesn't bother me that they are on here. If I would be using this knife for EDC constantly, it may be bothering me a little bit, but yeah. On the smaller 4-inch version, it's a completely plain edge, so the one that's set up more for doing EDC tasks also, which you can still do with this one, is more, don't has any serration. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So yeah, the lightweightness of this knife, the 135 grams, 4.7 ounces, makes this knife a little bit less, effective for like slashing or something like this, if we speak about tactical application here. So it doesn't have a lot of heft behind it, so keep that in mind. It's poorly, meant for stabbing. It's not a good all-around fighter, so to speak. You can back cut with the tip. Show you this here real quick. So I'm using the knife upside down, and I can still back cut here. So you can make use of that tip in either direction. That's what I want to say. And yeah, this cutout here on the handle is poorly for visual. The Extrema ratio usually does that. That's one of their, you know, design features, I should say. It makes a lot of sense on their fixed blades. On their folders, they just do it poorly for looks, I guess. It's not that enjoyable. I actually don't like that this is here. I think would be much better if this would be just you know, plain without a cutout here. And there's not a lot of access to the liner lock, but you will get used to that very quickly. But it's not as easy as, let's say, here's an Ontario Rat again. You can have easy access to that liner very quickly, whereas on this one you have to get used to it. It took me about a week to finally, you know, get around how that liner is set up, and it was very annoying at first, but you know, you will get the drill pretty quickly, and then it's no problem at all. The second cutout here that's done on the handle on both sides is basically to move the knife around. So you do it like this, a little bit weird in front of the camera, but it works actually quite well. Even though the aluminum handle scales, you know, aluminum is usually slick, which this one is still, but the coating actually helps big time here. Even if you have like sweaty hands or something, it still works quite well. In general, that aluminum feels actually quite nice. I'm very surprised the quality of Extrema Ratio's aluminum handles is really high up there. I'm not sure what type of aluminum they used. It doesn't says so on the website, but it's definitely up there with like a ProTech or something from the quality of the aluminum. But it feels a lot better actually. This is hands down the best aluminum handle scale that I ever felt on any knife. Usually aluminum, when you pick it up, it's sort of cold to the hand. You know, it sort of has this cold feeling, and this one is, I guess it's because of the coating, but this one is very warm to the touch actually. It's not uncomfortable to hold this at all. I'm not sure how this will do in winter times, we'll see then, but as for right now, it's very comfortable to hold actually, just from the, you know, the poor feeling here. So yeah, I wish the liner lock would be supported by a safety. Extrema Ratio does a lot of their of safeties on their knives, so they have usually like an external safety here that you can push over, so that liner lock cannot disengage. And I wish they have done it here on this knife. It really makes sense, but you know, like I showed you, it's really not that easy to fail that lock. You really have to try, like with spine whacking, to fail it. But if you do like a normal stab or something like this, it's really really not possible that easily. So there's that. The double-edged version has a little bit of troubles, as I could tell from other videos, that the edge was actually, you could feel the edge on this side of the knife, and maybe also on this one. On this version right here, you can see that the serrations are a little bit visible, and I can actually feel them by going over there with my finger, but I cannot cut my finger even if I move over there really quickly. It's not possible for me to cut myself. So, but just notice that I can feel the serrations on this side a little bit. So the double-edged version has, I think, a lot more problems with that issue, that you can feel the edge, because on this side the handle is maybe not too wide to hide that edge completely. So yeah, that being said, I think this is a really nice blade length for a tactical knife, especially, you know, this sort of, you know, dagger, modern dagger, folding dagger style of folder. Quite cool. Comes in a good weight, like I said, has a couple of disadvantages when actually doing stuff with it, but you know, most of the knives in this size range, you know, become very heavy, and if it's too heavy, you will not carry it, and if you will not carry it, you will not be able to use it. So there is that. So there is an advantage and disadvantage to everything, I guess. And yeah, oh, almost forgot to mention hardware on this knife: T6 for the pocket clip, and then also a T6 underneath there, and then we have a flat head that you can adjust quite easily with like a Victorinox or something like that. This assembly video I've done on this knife is, the link for that is in the description box. The knife basically runs on very thin washers. I'm not, you know, too fond of those washers. I wish they would just use phosphor bronze, but I don't know. It still works well, and the knife flips with ease, as you can see. So yeah, that's everything I think about the Extrema Ratio's BD4 Lucky. I think it would be a lot nicer if they wouldn't have done this billboarding here on the blade. If they would have just used their this logo right here, like the glove on here, very small in the corner. Maybe. Box is very nice, by the way. So very high quality box. So it's a nice unboxing experience. So yeah, like I said, I think that's everything. And yeah. Oh, did I mention the behind the edge thickness? We have like 0.7 27 thousandths behind the edge with Rockwell hardness of 58 Rockwell. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already. If I did, I will cut this part out. And so it's not the best slicer. It's purely, you know, sort of self-defense knife, but it still works for cutting up a little bit of plastic and stuff like that. It's no big deal for some very light EDC tasks. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and have yourself a nice day. Goodbye, people.